So, and cutting out hair is the most difficult things you can do because it does require a bit of skill. And I'm just going to go in here and quickly pop that in. You notice I'm working quite close to the image. Everything's quite pixelated. I'm doing that because that gives me a better control, and the image comes off looking much cleaner in the end. And say, for example, right now I've got this little kind of bumpy thing, this fly out on this brush that I don't like. I can actually go in and you can modify, you can rotate the brush itself. So I can go in and say, okay, well, I just want to use a different side of the brush. I'm just going to rotate that through. Actually, I'll get her up here like that. There we go. That's a bit better. Going through here. A lot of manual stuff. The only way to quickly isolate hair would be to have it shot against a nice white background with lots of contrast. You can just do a quick selection that way and it's all done. You can also use the channels, but again, and the channels are right here, RGB, red, blue, green, and of course the layer mask that I'm using right now. But that all is dependent mostly on the quality of the photograph. If you have a bad quality photograph, which is usually the case, it's very hard to isolate it via just the channels. Okay, so now we have a nice clipped out head of hair. Okay, now what we're going to do is say I want to change the color of this hair, alright? Well, back to the layer mask I go, or actually the adjustment layers. They're found under the layer filter, or the layer drop-down menu, new adjustment layer. You can do whatever you wish. Let's see, strike color balance. And again, you always want to use previous layer to create clipping mask that groups the actual adjustment layer to the image you want to change. If I don't, this will actually, adjustment will apply to the hair and also to any layers below this adjustment layer. So it's a global thing. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to play with this, and you'll notice right off the bat, okay, I'm boosting the midtones, okay, and I can mess with anything I want. I can change the colors, I can go to the shadows, okay, I'm just going to tweak this right out, go with the highlights, okay, I'm going to give him green hair, right, and you notice it's just affecting different bits and pieces of the hair. Alright, now what I can do is I can go here and I can add a layer mask to the adjustment layer, and I'm actually going to keep the same brush, make this big, and I'm going to slowly, kind of brush this in. My opacity is set to 20%. When you're doing hair and that type of stuff, how you create the illusion of depth is by varying the opacity of your brush, of the paint you throw in. That gives you highlights, gives you shadows, and other stuff. I'm just going to quickly rip through this. And you'll notice that I'm never, I'm never being solid with the brush. I'm not just tracing over one continuous shot. I'm lifting my tablet and my pen off my tablet and putting it back down again, continually making different brush strokes. You can see the history. I'm going to move this for a minute and just show you. And it keeps on going here. So I'm kind of slowly working this up. There it is there. Now if I want to make a change, all I got to do is go in, change it. So I'm going to max everything out on the other side of things, make it black, make it blue, make it red, whatever I want. Okay? Now I can also duplicate this. Now when I duplicate it, watch what happens. I'm going to go Apple J, pow. What happened? What happened was that because I duplicated this, it duplicates the actual adjustment layer, but it does not duplicate the grouping. So what I said before, how this actual, the adjustment layer, if it's not clipped or grouped to the layer below it, it will apply to everything below it. So you can see what's happening is that it's applying it to this layer, it's applying it to the hair itself, and it's applying it to the background layer. So what I want to do is I want to have this guy here apply to that layer only, the hair layer. So I'm actually going to select all this stuff, and I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to go to create clipping mask. Actually, it's not what I want to do. I'm going to select this guy. We'll select both of these guys here. There we go. Little flub there. So now what what I can do is I can modify this one, right? I can change this. I can do whatever I wish to. I'm going to make this, no, whatever. Just mess around. Let's make this one red. Play with this a bit. So what I'm doing is I have one adjustment layer that's hitting the highlights and the shadows and everything is red, and the other one is hitting it as green. So now what I can do is I can go back to my adjustment layer, to my mask. I'm going to hit the white this time, and I'm going to paint out some items. And you'll see it's giving the illusion that we have a cool dye job going on here. That's where you get to play hairdresser. And this is just one example. I mean, there's many different examples of what you can do here. Okay, there you go. There's your hair isolated. Now as far as the guy goes, of course, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this all of these guys, okay, and I'm going to go Apple G and group it. So now this is one nice piece, and I can take this entire hair helmet and I can move it down, wherever around. We can have some fun. We can invert it. We can turn this into a beard, full facial hair. You know, you got a head of hair. Have fun with it. I'm just kidding. This guy's probably kind of mad at me now. So now we move this around. Now, of course, what we're going to do is go to the pen tool, and I'm just going to quickly cut out the remainder of this guy. We're not going to be too neat because I don't care. And of course, now I've got the hair cut out, so I can just go in here and quickly cut out. I'm going to go and set my opacity of this shape layer, the fill to 0, so I can see what I'm cutting out. Just very quickly cut this out here. I wish I could get a soundtrack in here. Maybe I'll play like cool music or something next time. That'd be nice. Okay, I'm going to option over my shape layer. I'm going to click on it, make the selection. Go back to my background layer, Apple J, duplicate. Take that away. There you go. So now what you want to do is you're going to go ahead and you are going to make an adjustment layer. Just to color correct this particular, you know, the color's a little bit flat right now. So you're going to go under layer, new adjustment layer, and you are going to go to the levels. You know, use previous layer, create clipping mask. Okay. You can go to auto, you can adjust it a little bit. What you want to do is just take the white point slider and slide it up to this histogram here. Basically, the histogram is a visual representation of all the color information that is in your Photoshop file. You'll notice you've got three arrows down here. You've got a black, a mid-tone, and a white, and the color information pertaining to each. You have tons of information up here. You notice it spikes right up the top at the black, and because there is lots of black in this photo. In the center here, you've got some information, some spikes on this little chart here. It's because you have some color information. You notice if I slide this back and forth, the mid-tone controls a lot of the detail in the image. Much like in a graphic equalizer, the mid-tone settings control, you know, how much sound and clarity you can get out of it. The mid-tone really delivers in the Photoshop, in a levels application, how much visual definition you can get out of an image. Anyway, just a little aside there. And the white point, well, that adjusts the white point, how bright, how much contrast there is. And you see that there is very little white information here. So Usually it's going to start off like this, and you're always going to have some type of, you know, a little bit. To quickly color correct, take this white point